So there was, as an example, I think 10 by 10s, they were charging $30 a month. But when we looked at the comps of the units in the area, what's called the average of the street rates, they were $60 a month. In some cases, a little higher. So those are the types of opportunities that we look for. We look for deals where the owner is not treating it like a business. They didn't even have a website, to give you an idea. So we were able to go in here. We got this with 90% seller financing. I got a private money lender to lend me the 10%. So another example of getting into the deal without my own cash. And today that facility is generating, it's dipped a little bit. It's not quite at 4,500. I think now we're like at $3,600, $3,700 a month in cash flow. That's because our occupancy dipped, right? So we got very aggressive with rates. Right now we're at about 60% occupancy. Here's the cool thing. We project that once we get to about 85% occupancy, our net cash flow, when I say net, meaning after expenses, after we pay the seller financing, debt service, we're looking at about $8,000 a month. That's on one facility, guys. A facility that, again, maybe takes me half hour a week to manage. And then we project that the stabilized value, if we ever did decide to sell this in the future, that we're probably looking at about $3.5 million. You know, so when we exit these facilities, oftentimes you're looking at multiple six figures, if not low seven figures in equity that's being created, not to mention the consistent cash flow. And this came from a very simple direct mail campaign. And it was just structured with seller financing, like nothing super fancy at all. This is pretty self-evident, right? Like just the belief, right? That's what prevents people from getting involved in this business. Just the belief system that they can do it. I think oftentimes, Jason, when I talk to people, sometimes they're intimidated because it's a larger asset or because it's, multiple buildings and they just don't know how to do it. But what I want people here in this community to know is that a lot of what you're already doing in single family when it comes to marketing and lead generation, when it comes to acquisitions and just how you negotiate, I would actually say and argue that it's an easier of a conversation to have with a storage owner than it is with a quote unquote motivated seller, right? These storage owners are business owners that are not emotionally attached to these properties. It's a numbers game, and many times they're not really treating it like a business. Let's to like transition now into like actual X's and O's, because I want people to walk away from this with like actual value of knowing like, how do I go find these opportunities? So this is pretty simple, guys. In terms of the market, there's a couple things I look for. I like to be in cities that have a population between 1,000 and 60,000 people, what's considered by many people secondary or rural markets. So I live in Miami. I've never spent 1 minute looking for storage in Miami. Why? When you look at big metropolitan cities, those are typically run and dominated by the REITs, the real estate investment trusts, like Public Storage, like Extra Space, CubeSmart. It's not to say that you can't be in those markets, but we don't want to compete on price with those box that they have deep pockets, private equity money. Like, we're not competing with those facilities. We're looking for secondary small markets. We want to be in cities where the population is increasing, right? Like you want job growth, you want money coming into that city.